Good evening, all. Hoping everyone's okay. I might be coming through a little bit louder this time, hopefully. But good evening to Ray, Edison, to Socially Confused, Burger Pops, Rash, Bloodsnuck, Chidomo, and AV. Good to see a lot of familiar faces in chat today. Yeah, so I've just been working on a video actually that I was really hoping to have as a premiere that jumps from this straight into the video. Unfortunately, I've got a little bit carried away with some of the stuff that I want to do. So yeah, the video's not quite there yet. However, it is well worth watching. There have been a rash of videos that have come out about the Ironclad, and you know, it's a lot of it is similar. It's, hey, here's the stuff, here's the details, here is us talking about it. I've gone in a slightly different direction. I've done a straight up comparison between the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault and the Liberator. You guys know I'm no fan of the Liberator in the carrier role. I want to say it wasn't just an opportunity to bash the Liberator, because it wasn't. It was just a happy coincidence. But yeah, hopefully it'll make sense when we do the video, and it is reasoned. It isn't just a chance for me to take pot shots at my least favourite ship in Star Citizen. But yeah, well worth the watch, because I also make a case to defend the Liberator, and talk about what I do think it's good for, which is not just target practice. But good evening to Wells, to Shadowgal, to Notorious, and Stakara God as well. So yeah, good to see you all, and that's where we are at the minute. You will have noticed, I am sure, that there hasn't been a lot of content from me, other than the news release about the Ironclad and the video that's just about to come up. I haven't been talking much about Invictus at all, to be honest. Now I'm really hoping there will be two videos as a product of Invictus. What I'm really hoping to do is, the first one is the video that I have on the back burner. It's a bit more production quality. I've taken a lot of shots and scenic shots and close-ups and talking about all the vehicles that we've had released, apart from the MPUV tractor. If anyone's got one they want to lend me, that would be great, but I have a feeling that's still going to be a very short element of the game, of the video. But yes, talking about the Medivac, talking about what's the other one? The Firebird. So yeah, got some decent shots, and I want to have a look at that. So that'll be the next video. And the other thing, and you guys might be able to confirm, I'm still hoping to catch the fleet, if the fleet are still moving around, because I know the finale is coming up, and I want to try and get a video of the tour of the Idris, if that's even possible. However, it has seemed like, up until now, all the screens that would normally tell you where the fleet is, where it's due next, how long the tour's open for, none of them seem to be working. And it's driving me to drink, because there's also, unfortunately, not the marker on the map that shows you where the fleet is at any given point. So yeah, and of course, because it's a free fly, it's kind of not helpful, because we've got lots of people in who are all adamant that the fleet is where they are, and it's not visible for everyone, or it's not there at all. I had someone at my location, when I asked, does anyone know where the fleet is, telling me that it was where they were, and I couldn't see any of it. There were no fireworks, there was no Idris, there was no Polaris, there was no flyby. So yeah, it's been challenging. I do want to have a look at the Idris. Obviously, as someone who's ex-military, I'm very interested to see what they do with the inside of a serving UE military ship, and how all that comes together. So if I can, I will get that to you. Avi says, I'll be honest, I never saw it outside the PTU, not sure if how well it's working. Yeah, 100%. I've just realised that I haven't changed. In a pro streamer move, once again, I have not changed the latency setting on my computer, so unfortunately there's going to be a bit of a delay between what I say and what you guys hear. So there will be a slightly longer delay for me replying to you guys. Really sorry. Clearly, I'm not drinking enough. Drink of choice, I've got a Strongbow Zest cider. There we go, that's better. Ta-da! So I'm going to give that a go whilst we're here. So, cheers all. Hoping you have a good one. Bloodsuck says, screen's really buggy. Usually chat has helped me find it. Did the tour a few times. Worth it. Awesome. Jodomo, it was on the first day, not seen it since. Been on it, got sent to prison, left port after 30 seconds without a warning. You have to get out pretty quick. That's brilliant. I'm really pleased. Just it's almost like the press gang thing that people do with the Navy, whereas they used to get people drunk, and then they would wake up on board a warship, and now they would be in the Navy. Congratulations, welcome. So yeah, it looks like Edison, you got press ganged, my friend. But yes, I got lost on the address. Says socially. What are people's thoughts? What are the people's thoughts on the interior? Was it good? Was it all working as expected? Like, what did you think? What struck you about being on the ship? There was an IC for it, if I recall. Same thing happened in the PTU. I got sent to prison because it did the same thing with no alert and no warning. Issue cancel, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, oh dear. But never mind. These things happen. So yeah, it's been a bit of a week in Star Citizen, of course, with lots of different bits and pieces going on. The Ironclad details that have come out. I was actually kind of really surprised at the pricing of this. And I know it's going to go up. I know that it's a concept sale and that it is going to get more expensive as time goes on. But still, I was expecting it to be a bit higher than that. That's a lot of SCU to sit at that price for the Ironclad itself. I think $540 there or thereabouts for the base version of the Ironclad. That's a lot of cargo for not a lot of money. Well, I say not a lot of money. That's a huge amount of money, but you get my point, right? You see where I'm going with that. So yeah. Other than the fact that it's a flying shoebox. Just let me spam my address so people can see it. Oh god. Assault has already had a price rise. Yes, it has. You're 100% correct. I think it's $12. It went up $10, $12. Yeah. It's already gone up already, which is yep. Clearly, it was selling really rather well, which is going to surprise absolutely nobody. It'll be interesting, actually. I've just got I got the pages up here. I'm just going to have a very quick look at the funding tracker and see what Invictus has looked like over the period of time. Let's see where we are. Well, gee, guess what? Guess what the first day looks like? Yeah, 10%. No, I don't think it's quite 10%. But yeah. So let's have a look. Let's switch you across. Click. Hopefully you can still hear me, which would be nice. Good. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is where the funding is at the minute. So we kicked off on what the. Let's have a look at weekly totals. Yep, so week 19 on the Friday, obviously a big pickup, so up to about 2.5 mil, and then almost 5.5 mil this week, with all of today still to go because obviously it refreshes at midnight. And then just looking at the dailies, yeah, almost 3 mil of that came in yesterday with the announcement of the Ironclad. So yeah, kind of crazy. CIG didn't like the $5 credit CCU money. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's quite a significant climb in terms of the funding, right? So we are less than $1 million off of, less than 2 mil, 1.2 mil off of 700 million. So Q, wait for it. The round of press. No, 700 million. It's still going. Um, I I'm going to invite you now, and then I'll say my bit because of the delay in the stream. But I will say this very momentarily. What I'm going to say is, what are your thoughts been on Invictus this year? And I'm not just talking about the ship sales. I'm talking about the event as a whole, including the free fly and everything else. And the reason for me asking you, normally you don't do this, ask a question and then ask other people to answer, because you kind of, or after you've answered, because you kind of colour people's opinions and their answers. But what I will say is that, ooh, that smells yummy. It smells fruity. But yeah, I think so. The ship sales are ship sales, and you know they're massively subjective, more so than anything else. Because if you want them, then you want them, and if you don't, then you don't, and all that sort of stuff, right? It's the rest of the event has been massively underwhelming for me. Not being able to find the Idris, not being able to see the fleet, not being able to do any of that stuff. I get it that the servers struggle under the weight of the free fly. I'm with you. Also, kind of part of the embarrassing bits here are that, you know, they only gave themselves a week or so to get the point patch out ready for Invictus. So those problems, they weren't giving themselves as much time to find, identify and rectify those problems. Which is a shame, because if you're coming on a free fly, the ship sales are going to be irrelevant for you. And it's sold off the back of this huge free flyby, spearheaded by the Polaris, the biggest multi-crew ship in game to date, blah 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 blah, and you don't get to see any of it, which is just disappointing. And I get it. You know, it always happens around this year, this weekend every year. 100% understand that. But also, CIG sometimes need to stand up for their "it'll be ready when it's ready" kind of mantra and delay it. Because the thing is that you and I and the people that are buying the ships, we've already formed an opinion about Star Citizen. The fact that we're here indicates that we're at least interested, if not actively investing in the game. And actually, all these people that are coming in are likely to be people who haven't yet formed a solid opinion about the game. Some of them will, don't get me wrong, there'll be plenty of people returning. But some of them won't have, and this will be the first real exposure to it. And once again, we've got missed promises and or failed promises and missed deadlines and all that sort of stuff for stuff to be working correctly. And actually, that's more damaging than not having it at the same weekend. And I get it, people are going to say, you know, oh, well, you know, it's marketing, they need the money, blah blah blah, and I get all of that. But what they need, I would argue, longer term, is they need the goodwill of people, and for people to look at it and say, when they see the media reports that are no doubt going to hit when the 700 mil headlines start going, actually no, I tried the game and all right, it's clearly an alpha, but I can see what they're doing with it. There is fun to be had. Like, if they keep going the way they're going, they're going to turn out something pretty good. So yeah, I think that's that. But yeah, Stakara Gord, Invictus has been a bit dull in my honest opinion, mate. 100%. I agree with you. The servers work better as any Invictus before the ship sales were. I don't get that word, but yeah. Yeah, so I agree with you. Server performance is probably stronger than it has been in a while. Even though it's still laggy, it's doing all right. Socially Confused says it was stable for me. I couldn't find the flyby. I'm waiting on the point patch for cargo. Yeah, aren't we all, mate? Looking forward to when that comes in. Shadow Girl says the lag in the Invictus Hall has been horrendous for me, and my ship doesn't want to spawn in its hangar. Yes, you were having problems at ArcCorp, weren't you, with stuff spawning above? I can understand coming to ArcCorp while there was just this pile of C2s on top of the spaceport. And I get it now, it's because stuff isn't actually spawning in the hangar, it's spawning outside, which isn't help. Freezes in the hall were bad, so socially, yeah, I experienced that as well. Outside of that, the game has been buttery smooth. Yeah, the FPS seems to be getting better all the time, and I must admit that was one of my big worries, and that's really nice to see CIG fixing that, because as a backer it goes, okay, I have a number of big worries about this project. I'm watching them fix one where at one time I was like, I just don't see how they're going to do this. So on the strength of that, they're at least buying goodwill for me to go, okay, well, I'll wait to see what the other ones are like, and how they get on with the other ones. But they've proved that they can fix one thing, so let's have a look. Avi says, seeing the Polaris landed was nice, but it's just a hull. Better than nothing, but it's hard to really get hyped for it without seeing engineering, resource management, and stuff. Yeah, they need to, and I'm sure this is where they're going with this, right? But the resource management, the multi-crew gameplay, really does need to start coming out now, and that is happening. Patch is really good so far, says Bloodsnark. Servers have been working good for me, but the event hall has been laggy. Yep. What I've seen from engineering does not give me hope, says Edison. The Invictus event this year was kind of meh, even with the Ironclad, said Bloodsnark. Yeah, and in a minute we'll go through the sort of things that I've picked up in my hangar. So if you hear me clicking around in the background, I'm just gonna show you a few of the bits that I have picked up, including what is probably going to be a bit of a shock for a couple of people, but we'll get there in a second. Okay. So looking through then, Jedi Drifter. I just pulled the trigger on the Ironclad standard. Nice. That's a lot of Furies. I had a Galaxy with cargo mod, the CCU from a Caterpillar. That was the example needed. Yeah, perfect. I'm glad. I'm really looking forward to getting it in game and seeing it. I think it's very evidently Drake, although it also feels a bit blocky like the Odyssey did when the Odyssey came out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works. Also, with the top opening, it's very reminiscent of the Pioneer, I feel. But yeah, Avi says retiring the Mark. Yeah, we're going to come to that. I wanted to talk about that. That's rough, right? Socially confused. So the vehicles released, the Nursa was the most exciting, so useful. Badger got himself a Liberator. I am going to ban you. I'm not, but I want to so bad. Yeah, so there's a couple of other bits that have changed, and I guess this is the right time, right, to talk about the Hornet. So they've made the announcement that the Hornet Mark 1s are getting shelved. Now, in the nicest possible way, the game has only just gotten to well, it's not even in beta, right? It's still in alpha. It's still in build. And I don't understand why the decision to get rid of them, right? The whole point, I thought, of having the Mark II is the Mark II was going to be uniquely military, which is okay because that works, right? It's like the F-22 and the F-35. You're going to get the most advanced stuff. To shelve the entire line just seems like a bit of a slap in the face, and there is no reason to do it that I can see other than the FOMO stuff. Other than making people pay the $50 or so, whatever it is, to get up to the Hornet Mark II. Not happy, and I suppose the argument is that, well, they gave everyone the option to complete overdrive and go and do get the free upgrade. The problem is now is they have generated FOMO because it's the last chance to get it. So you have a Mark II upgrade and you don't get the Mark I, that Mark II upgrade is pointless. And it's just now, if you're sat there with a Mark II upgrade and you don't at least put a Mark I in your buybacks, then what are you doing? And the problem is that CIG know that a lot of us have chains that makes that are ships that are cheaper, that weren't bought at retail. So even if you just want to put a ship in your buybacks, you're going to lose value somewhere and have to put more money in. It seems like a very cynical move. And I'm not on board with it. I've tried to hold off because I've made a couple of videos recently or I've been on a couple of streams recently where I've voiced that I'm not happy with stuff, and I don't want to turn into a salt farmer. I don't want to attract that community. I'm happy with you guys. I'm happy with the people that are here, where we try to be positive. We obviously have the things that we're concerned about, but we try to be positive. And that's the important thing, right? This is a hobby. The minute you stop enjoying it completely, it's no longer a hobby, it's a chore. So stop doing it and go do something you do enjoy, and then come back to it, as far as I'm concerned. And getting stressed out about something that you don't do seems really weird. It seems just like a complete waste of effort. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. And I don't see why they needed to. I see why the Mark II came out, and I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. The shelving of the Mark I line and not being sold is frankly crap. Because what they've done now is they've done the other FOMO thing. Rather than saying, I'm going to sell you an upgrade that you can only get at this point, like they did with the F8, or not an upgrade, but I'm going to sell you something you can only get. Now they're saying, well, you've got this amazing upgrade, but now the upgrade's only valid if you now buy this thing that you can upgrade from. So my upgrade is going to stay there. I'm not playing that game. I'm just not. I'm not interested in partaking and enabling that. And I get it. Some people will want to, and that's fine. Again, me saying that I'm not going to do something doesn't mean that other people can't do it. And if you do want to do it, that's fine. I get it. But yeah, 100%. So yeah, base Ironclad excited me the most, says Socially. Yeah, I've got to admit, I'm with you there. Although I really do like the fact that they've clarified now on the Ironclad page, the sales page, that the repair and rearm but the repair and refuel facility and rearm facility, I guess, within the Ironclad Assault also has the ability to create or to what was the word it used? To manufacture components. So if you've got damaged bits that you can't repair, you can create a new one for those vehicles, which is very, very cool. I do like that a lot. But yeah, I agree. I like the base version. I'm happy to see another large ship, even happier that it's Drake, says Notorious. Absolutely. Anything held together that goes into space, held together with duct tape, chewing gum, hopes and dreams, absolutely needs to be encouraged. I'm just not getting on it. Fabricate, thank you very much. That's exactly what it said. Ape, hello, buddy. Good evening. Good to see you. Glad you could be here. Jay Peachy, good to see you. And Can, welcome in, guys. And to Rash, and to anyone that I've missed, I do apologise, but it's good to have you all in chat. Jedi, I think I said you, but if not, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Yeah, the Ironclad is probably the best all-rounder ship, cargo, pocket carrier, salvage, mining, mothership, search, rescue, and so much more. It's hard to argue with just how versatile it can be. That huge interior cargo space is a real strength. It's just a real shame. I wonder how long. I'm sure it's already happened, but they said brig on one of the interior shots. Hang on, I'll go and find it for you. But they said brig, and what they meant was that secure cargo area that they showed off on the video, right? That's what they meant by it. Unfortunately, you know what people are like. They're just going to go, oh, it says a brig, oh, it can imprison people, bounty hunting, rah! And I'm pretty sure that's not what it's for. But yes, Citizen Ninja, good evening. Yeah, good to see you, bud. So yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, so that's on the standard, the Ironclad, yeah. And then that bit at the front, where it's the secure, they said, like, they've modelled it on police evidence cages because it was secure storage of cargo. They've unfortunately called it a brig, which in naval terms is like, which is your prison cells for people. So yeah, an interesting one. Oops. So yeah, so it's additional storage with extra security is the wording. It's not an actual brig. So yeah, it's already started. God damn it. But yeah, so yeah, it's in there, right? But we'll see. If they do all this with a Hornet Mark One, what's to say they won't do this with other ships? Always a worry. Always a worry. You know, is there going to be an Avenger? Is there going to be an anything else? You know, what about Gladius? What about Arrow? What about anything else that's military that's constantly going to be releasing new versions in the real world? You know, they've just modelled the Hornet off the real world, so you know it's not unreasonable to ask, well, what's going to stop you doing that with other stuff? But yeah, I mean, the change in search of one aspect, but it makes you wonder if they'll just do the same for all the old ships and just retire them, making a new version to sell. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Is I mean, you know, because they're talking about the Connie reworks, and hopefully, it's been a conversation for a long old time. What is CIG gonna do to fund themselves post launch? Because regardless of people saying how much money's been put into this, those servers aren't going to pay for themselves. It'll either need to be through constant new sales or something along those lines. And as a live service game, not sure if they're going to do the DLC stuff. I mean, selling account extras might work. Like you can pay for extra NPC crew, but then again, we as gamers really don't like that. If all they sell are the cosmetics, and then you can buy early access to a ship, like you can with rental now, right? You buy a ship, you get it before it's able to be rented or purchased in game. Like I wouldn't have so much of a problem with that if it keeps things going, because it just means you're getting the same access, you're just getting it a little later. But yeah, salt farming with CIG, yes, funnily enough. Ships people are pledged for to fund the game. I'm not sure what that was in response to, but there we go. Yeah, agreed. The game side is getting good now and have more promise, but the marketing sales side is really rather irritating. Yeah, that's not a good place to be. And the more I think about it, the more I think that might be worth another video, because it's a scummy practice, and they need to know. They've been going back on the word one too many times that I wouldn't be surprised that when they start saying Bengals in all their variants. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much sympathy for the F8 stuff, right? I'm not that bothered, because for every video that you're able to show that says, yeah, we're not selling that one, they didn't use the word ever. And also, I can show you official posts and videos where they say never say never. So even, you know, if the argument is that's confused messaging, I agree with people 100%. But if they're going to listen to half the argument and not listen to the other half and claim that they made a promise, well, that's just false, right? That's not what was said, right? They said we're not going to sell it, or we're not selling it, current tense. And then there was a load of posts from Jared and everyone else saying never say never. So yeah. However, this is pants, and yeah, I'm not chuffed. Yeah, the shelving without telling us their plan for in-game is terrible messaging. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to shelve something that people have spent that much money on, 3 times the cost of the game, and you're going to do that without having a precise plan on how exactly it's going to work, and you don't have all the answers that you need, then I'm sorry, that's not good enough. End of chat. You know, and people will struggle to convince me otherwise. But yeah, and Khan puts his finger on something else that I don't have a lot of patience for, which is the Ironclad assault going up $10. You know, just almost like it's look how many we're selling, and if we added $10 to that number of sales, look how many we'd sell then. Again, not great. So yeah, They're not cells, they're cages, but yes, it certainly looks something like that. And we can look at the video again if we need to. But yes, so that's that. Yeah, it's a cargo brig. Anything's a brig. If you're brave than us, notorious, ain't that the truth? If you can lock the doors, it's a brig. Prison for cargo, yeah. Bad cargo. Very bad cargo. I don't know, man. I want to keep my merchandise secure, even the humans. Well, I suppose if you're trading that. Have you heard that the top does not open on the military version? That was the question. I know it's the top of the Q&A post, Ape. I'm actually, hopefully, by the time people wake up tomorrow, there will be a new video out comparing the Liberator and the Ironclad, both variants. And it's one of the things I say about the Assault is that I don't use it as comparison for the like carrier role because I'd assumed that the top doors don't open for that. So I hadn't heard for sure. I'd assume that's the way it was going because it just makes sense. So yeah, the secure cargo areas when you bring new employees to your outpost. This got really dark. Like, what is wrong with you guys? Have got one on you this evening. That's actually quite scary. What is going on in chat? Yeah, I've heard a bit from Chris Roberts a while back saying that they would retire ships and bring out new versions. I don't have the link. We'll have to dig it up. Yeah, I mean. Again, retiring them. I mean, I know they mean by retiring, they mean not selling them anymore. I mean, I guess I kind of get it if you're a collector having ships that are no longer available like that. But it comes dangerously close to, everything will be available in game to breaking that promise, right? It comes very, very close to making themselves liars in that regard. So I hope they don't go that way. I really do hope they don't go that way, but we'll see. Yeah. It wouldn't be surprising me if we get some sort of subscription for SC by the end of it, or when 1.0 comes around. I think the subscriptions will run exactly as they are now. I don't think it's going to be a monthly requirement subscription. I think it's going to be access to other things and a temporary way to expand your hanger and that sort of stuff. Maybe an improved kind of insurance package that month or whatever, right? But I don't think it's going to be a subscription thing. I think they'd really struggle with that. They should retire the steel and rock DS first to soften the blow. Oh God, there's just no more retirements. Just stop it. Just keep that stuff going. I wouldn't say broken promises, says AV, but it'd be rather misleading or deliberately leaving too much open to interpretation rather than clarifying. Yeah, I think in at a point you reach a point where being deliberate or being like leaving things open to interpretation becomes it leaves you a get out clause from promises, which is kind of the same thing. So yes, while you're right in this instance, it's probably not a broken promise. I think if you keep doing that and you knowingly keep doing that and you see people's concerns and it doesn't force you to change what you're doing, then after that point, you are absolutely, you are opening yourself up to that same criticism, and I have no sympathy for it. Boo hoo sort of thing. Anyone that wants the Hornet Ghost after the sale is going to need to buy the Mark II Ghost. It comes with no warning. It's at the end of the damn month, so people who budget like I do, right? The problem is if you go, well, just take it out your savings. Well, what's the point in budgeting then? If you're just going to break your budget anytime it doesn't suit you, there's no point. So yeah, it's like I hate this because there's a company that I buy models from, Games Workshop. They do this exact same thing. They release all their cool stuff before payday. What are you doing, you fucking idiots? Like, I mean a budget. Stop doing this to us. I'm trying to save for a house. Whatever goes into the house fund doesn't come out again. Now, I can accept not putting more in there, but the whole point of it being where it is, it's not easy to draw out. In fact, drawing out from it penalises me because it's so yeah. Oh, and I get it. That's first world problems and it's my problems. It might not be everyone's problems, but just like think about it. This isn't hard. Look at what's going on in the world right now. People are struggling with money on the by and large, so maybe don't screw them over. Anyway, I feel like I should be like stood on a box. There should be a flag behind me. There should be an eagle screeching flying overhead as I say this. Kind of. And another thing. But yeah. On that note, I should drink more. Interesting. Avi, that's a really good point. Avi's made a really good point about the Ironclad assault. The top has to open. You can't do repairs on vehicles if you can't open the top. How do you get a damaged or soft death tank to the repair bay? We don't have wreckers or tow trucks to bring it. Interesting. Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, maybe it does then. At which point the Liberator's in real trouble. But yeah. Yeah, I think at the moment because it's a concept, it's not even it's not even proper white box yet. I think the top being similar might be a bit of a misnomer, but like I get the point. It might not be. Like we don't know until we get the answer. That'll be on Friday. I think they'll do the video. But yeah, I mean, if not, head yourself over to Spectrum and like upvote the questions you want answers to. But that one is the top question, so it's going to get answered, right? Yeah. Um, the old chips were built with a different tool set and pipeline, so they might not be as compatible. Yeah, I get that, and it might be a pain in the ass, but I do think if you've taken as much money as you have from people for the Hornets, you owe it to them to change it over. Again, I get it, but personally speaking, that's not an excuse to me. But yeah, you can do repairs without it's opening as a repair bay in the back for ground vehicles. Yeah, I see Avi's kind of point there. Jay Peachy says, do you think we'll get any alien ships or concepts for Alien Week? Oh. Do you know what? I've said I hope so many times and been disappointed that I'm going to say no. And maybe if I say no, just to prove me wrong, CIG will do something and we'll all be pleasantly surprised. I hope so. I'm so excited by what they could do for alien ships. The Banu Merchantman looks incredible. I really like the idea of the Radiant. What they did with the Prowler and the Asperia Talon, with that internal where you're not actually looking out of the cockpit, it's internal screens and you watch it all switch on. That's just incredible. The idea that those cockpits also form the escape pods, so they're fired like forward, almost like a bullet from a gun. I love that stuff and what they could do with the alien. I love the fact that they're like their medical things is like this healing gel, almost like Star Wars Bacta gel that you get into, and it heals you. Like all that sort of stuff is very very cool. So even if it's the same stuff that other things do, but it's done in a different way, that's kind of really exciting. And thinking further on down the line where people are saying, well, there's only so many ships that they can sell. Well, that's not true in any sense because, you could do an alien miner where it mines in a completely different way. So you bring in an alternative mining gameplay loop for that sort of race who mine in a different way. So you're just bringing out competitors, and then it doesn't become, well, components and storage size and speed and number of crew and SCU per hour. Now it becomes about how do you enjoy that gameplay loop? Do you enjoy the mining the way we've got it now, or do you enjoy the mining the way the alien gameplay loop works? And that's like really cool as well. So there's so much stuff. It's a very long answer to your question, JPG, but I genuinely think that is the right answer, right? Which is I hope so. I'm not holding my breath because so yeah, that's it. Sergeant Teddy Bear 59, welcome to chat, buddy. I'll get to your comment in just a second. I saw you pop up there, so welcome. It's good to see you. Speaking of soapbox, I've had enough of cyclists. Yeah, I got pissed off cycling. I've got all the aerodynamics for post office, so I stopped. But yeah, what you're saying, Badger, is the common thread between the two companies. What? I'm the reason this is happening. 100%. That's exactly what's going on. Yeah. SRV might be needed. MPUV. I think the MPUV tractor is boring. I don't think it's going to rock anyone's world. I don't think it's you're not going to go and pick up girls in it or boys, depending on your preference. However, that being said, I do happen to think that it's going to be invaluable. It's going to be worth its weight in gold. Limited, good to see you. Glad you've joined. We can all relax now. That's a good thing. But yeah, I do think the MPUV tractor is going to be worth its weight in gold. Just being able to move stuff around as it does, being able to change the module out in the back, as they said it will do, that's going to be good news. I think it's, you look at how do you move everything off a hull D or hull E, well, MPUV tractors are going to be great for that. So they are literally going to be worth their weight in gold. So they're going to, yeah, like that. The Fat Fury will be there. Possibly. Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, if it's going to be something that we've already seen, that's possibly it. Although I don't know, like MISC use a lot of stuff that is alien inspired or borrowed alien tech, but that doesn't make them an alien manufacturer, right? So I don't know if that counts. I felt like they should need to do an alien concept because we don't have a lot left in the pipeline. What, of alien ships? Banu, Radian, what else is sat there? I suppose we got the Santoki Eye and all that sort of stuff's finally out, isn't it? But yeah, still. Alien Organ Harvester. I'd probably just demonetize myself saying that on stream. But oh well. If YouTube can't take a joke. But yeah, a medium or smallish, large Banu ship would be great. I think we're seeing a lot of Banu stuff. I want to know what the Cathak are all about. And if you're not sure who the Cathak are, if you look on the funding part of the website, go down through the stretch goals, Cathak, spelled I think KR apostrophe THAK, Cathak. They are another alien race that has been confirmed. So I want to know what Cathak ships look like. That'd be cool. But yeah, I want to see a spider style miner that crawls over the top of rocks. Yeah, because the spider miners that we've seen are not. I think they've said that they're not going to be in game. But then again, they said that they weren't selling the F8, so we'll see. Maybe if we get to the point where, they're struggling for cash, we'll get spider miners, and they'll just sit in the concept pipeline for a very, very long time. Also, Gib Titan suits? ? That should show one up. Okay. Yeah. Squadron 42 was the human one. Yes, it was, AV. You're entirely correct. I know CIG are on a money push, but some of the stuff they've been doing lately feels a bit shady. Yeah, Limited, we were talking about the $10 increase on the Ironclad Assault seemed a bit shady, and the whole shelving the Hornet Mark 1. Not happy. But yeah, other than that. So the MPUV tractor should be the stock MPUV. It is, yeah, it is absolutely the MPUV. So what they've said is the modules will be interchangeable. So the cargo, the personnel module, basically it's all the same MPUV, or that rear tractor will go into the same mount, one assumes. So yes, and that's going to be really cool. So hopefully the dedicated MPUV bay will have space for those modules as well, so you can switch the modules out and it doesn't become space taken up in your hangar. That would be really cool. Yeah, the Sidnus. Yeah, that's right. The MPUV tractor should be a module. It is. They just not got it. We've just not got the option to swap between them yet. I'd like to play the Argo RAF's cargo attachments with how the MPUV tractor does it. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the comments very quickly. I'm just kind of trying to cycle through. So yeah, a large ship with a vertical profile like the Vagia battlecruiser. I don't even know what a Vagia battlecruiser is. I'm going to have to go and look that up now. I'm hoping that it's something that I look at it and go, oh yeah, I know what that is. But yeah, then again, I might not be. Let's have a look. What is a Vagia battlecruiser? Hope you spelled that right, because that's what I'm putting into Google. Did you mean vague? No, I did not mean vague. Images. Oh, okay. It's not kind of what I thought you meant, like the Homeworld home ship that was going to be literally like an upright. Okay, fair enough. Let's have a look. There we go. So I've just pulled this off of Reddit. Let's have a look. I don't want to stop streaming. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, I see that. Would that be interesting? I guess from a gameplay point of view, that just means more elevators, and we all know that elevators are the scary one. You know, the thing most likely to kill you in the game is an elevator. So yeah, I guess because a lot of vertical movement, so it'll be very slow getting around, lots of being on ladders and that sort of stuff. But yeah, conceptually, yeah, I'd have no problem with something like that. Lots of stairs, yeah, exactly that. They could call it the Anvil Stunner, the Anvil Stunner stair lift. Yeah, in my opinion, won't see any Banner ships until after the Banner matchman has finished the Jedi Drifter. Yeah, it's something interesting, isn't it? Because what they've said recently is that they don't want ships to come in without their gameplay loops attached. And seeing as they've said things like the Legionnaire by the end of the year. Well, Legionnaire needs hacking gameplay. So hacking gameplay by the end of the year, if they're going to stick to that kind of statement of intent. The thing with the Banu Merchantman is not just. I mean, I know that they said that it was to do with they lost a couple of people from the ship department, so they had to get rid of a ship from their workflow, and the Banu was the ship that bit the bullet because it was taking the most amount of resources. But also there is the shop aspect, and now with physicalized cargo, you can see that they're pushing towards that. But I still don't think it's going to be very, very quick. Because that means giving us the ability to set prices and all that sort of stuff, and potentially also have NPCs. Although clearly at the moment you don't need NPCs to sell anything, but it does mean trading for money between one player and another in a system that can't be fooled, right? So I'm not saying that I say give me the stuff and I'll transfer you the money versus via the mobile glass app. I'm talking about a genuine method of payment, something not too dissimilar from the market board in Final Fantasy or the auction house in World of Warcraft. So some formalized way of being able to charge money for it and know that when you lose the stock, you also get the money. And I think that's going to be kind of what's keeping that for a while. So yeah. Vertical launch missile batteries on the upper casing, hangar below, cannon on the bow. Yeah, nice idea for this vertical ship. But yeah, they're holding off on the Zeus MR because bounty gameplay still needs lots of work. Yeah, 100%. There's these bounty pods and everything else, and then I guess one of the questions is how do you. With bounty pods, I don't feel like they've really thought about it that much, right? How do you prevent bounty pods being used as a means of griefing? Because if it counts as a bed that you log out in, then when you log out, you log back in and you're still stuck in the bed at someone else's whim. If you don't use them as a bed, then when you're captured, you just log out and log back in. So player versus player bounties, unlikely at the minute. Versus the NPCs, you can see that happening because you can, go and do something like what we saw in the CitizenCon presentation, which was there was someone down, they rolled them over, they put the handcuffs on them, and physically restrain them, and that would be great. You could put those into pods, but now you need an interface on the other side. Like, who are you handing this to? Clasher needs some sort of huge interface with players being involved and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's a few things for them to work out, and this is why a lot of ships, people will say, why is my ship that hasn't been introduced, that was introduced ages ago, why is it not yet in? It's because the gameplay doesn't yet exist. And they want to go past what they had with the Reclaimer for ages, which was this really impressive, if not buggy as hell, ship that couldn't do anything because its gameplay loop wasn't in. So I think that they're now trying to change that. The 890 jump is a really good example of this. The E1 Spirit, the executive flyer, is a really good example of this. We've got these ships coming, but no one's in a rush because you can't do anything with them right now. So yeah, there's that. Good evening, Arcade. I won't say what you've said out loud because I've already probably demonetized my stream already. But yes, making money off collecting bodies, 100%. If you go to the prison, you get replaced by an NPC. Yeah, it doesn't really smack of the whole prison. Then people are going to want to be bounty hunted, right? When they've got crime stat versus getting killed, then bounty hunter becomes the preferred option. And maybe that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Maybe that would be cool, right? More likely to engage with bounty hunters. Because the alternative is you die and lose all your shit and go to prison for a long time. Don't know. I mean, maybe the person in the pod becomes an NPC and then you go straight to prison and you spend your time in prison and they transport the NPC around. That might work too, right? There's certainly options, but it's not clear, and we don't have any. They haven't made any noise to us about what it is they want to do with that. So yes, Stakarago says maybe if you're lawfully captured and log out, then you log into prison, and if you're not legally captured, you escape. Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of it kills the side for the criminal gameplay element, right? And I'm not making the argument that you should just be able to capture players, because the line between kidnap for in-game roleplay reasons and griefing people is so thin as to be non-existent, right? But having said that, I don't. The problem is so often criminal gameplay is just seen as bad gameplay, and it's because options for criminal gameplay, they're not great. They're not fleshed out to the way lawful gameplay is, right? The flip side of this. Here's the flip side: is what are the legal professions in Grand Theft Auto 5? Taxi driver. Everything else revolves around you breaking the law, being evil, and that sort of stuff. So no one plays Grand Theft Auto 5 to be the good guy unless they're playing heavily modded servers. And that's the point, right? Is that in order for good guy gameplay to be legitimate or to be viable, you've got to heavily mod the servers. You might drive around in Grand Theft Auto obeying all the signs and all that sort of stuff, but people do that for about 20 minutes because they're bored and then resume running everybody down. So it's that sort of thing, right? It's that there should be a use for bounty hunting pods for the good guys as well. Kidnapping execs. Maybe not players, but certainly kidnapping execs. But why go through all the hassle of going after a player and putting a player in a bounty pod if that's going to happen? I don't know. I'm not saying there's an answer. I'm just kind of trying to think about it from a gameplay perspective. I thought if you backspace when you get in a pod, the pod becomes an NPC for the hunter to turn in. Hopefully that's something along those lines, but I haven't seen that for sure. If that's the case, then that answers a big question. But, yeah. Did you see the Tonk had 2 barrels in the Ironclad photo? Interesting. So does that mean that we have a new version of the Tonk? Is this an upgrade to the old tonk? Ooh. Stand by, sir. Let's have a look. Ew. Download image. Flash of white. Nope. Hit F11. Do they not have that anyway? Is that not I mean, you are not wrong, sir. And I don't seem to remember it, but yeah, you are not wrong. That's exactly what that is. Let's have a look. That's a 100% increase in barrels. More barrels, MOAR. Yeah, 100%. Let's have a look. You are not wrong, sir. There's 2 barrels in that tonk. That tonk haveth 2 barrels. Was the concept version. Yeah, the interesting thing here, though, is that it's that, right? That's very clearly 2 barrels. It's the ode version. Yeah, it might just be old assets, I guess, that they've thrown in and not really thought about it, and they've forgotten completely that we will literally spend hours poring over every image that they give us and finding every single little detail. Right. So, whilst we're on this, there's something that I want to show you. Check my math. Okay. So, I'm just going to jump across. There's something I want to show you. I don't think CIG... Someone's going to tell me this is obvious. I don't think CIG can count. Okay? Bear with me. Okay. Here, right, where the turrets are. Okay, so this is from the Drake Ironclad page, right? If you go to the technical specs and you open it out, there's a thing that you can download so you can see this. Okay, so here we go. Right, I'm just going to zoom in slightly. Right, you've got turrets. Okay, I'm going to put them dead center. Okay, 1 size 5 manned quad, 2 remote quads, 2 size 3 remote, 1 size 3 manned, and 1 interior for 7 turrets. Okay, everyone seeing that? Okay, cool. Right, so with that in mind, let's take a look. Good evening, Mr. E. Good to see you, bud. We have over here, I'm just going to, I don't know how to do this. I can't click. But on the front there, you can see on the front top, okay, on the port and starboard sides, there are 2 what appear to be manned size 3 turrets. Okay, just up that way. Okay, and then below them, you've got the 2 quad turrets. Okay, that's 4. Right? You can now see 2 remote turrets, okay, either side and behind of the command deck. Yeah, in the dead center where you can see that tan bit kind of just above my thing. And I'll zoom in and show you what I mean. Okay, there's 1 and there's 2. Okay, behind the command deck. We're now up to 6, which is what that says, because one of the turrets it lists is remote. Yeah. And then there's the one under the bottom. So, yeah. 100%. That's a little bit interesting, right? Yeah. And notwithstanding the whole crew thing, 7 turrets, 6 crew. It's actually 8 turrets, 6 crew. Yeah, I suppose the interior one you're not necessarily manning. So that loses 1, so you're back down to 7. And maybe the top ones on the top you're not doing, because maybe they're point defense, maybe you blade them. Yeah. Okay. So you've got there 8 turrets. So yeah, not great. Not an ideal level of turrets. And the one on the command module. There's one on the command module, question mark? There is one on the command module, if that's what that is. But yeah, there appears to be one on the top. Yeah, they really can't count, can they? Holy moly. Yeah, that's not ideal. think someone said they thought that one was scaffolding. Not sure the one on the mod on the command module counts. Well, I mean, if they're silly enough to put it on there, then, you know, Whiskey Tango Fox, as far as I'm concerned. We can see there more clearly. You've got the two turrets front. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't being stupid and missing something. But yeah, that's certainly what it seems to be, right? So yeah. Roches are hard. Yeah, agreed. They just got to be a little bit careful. There's got to be some Q&A to this, right? But yeah. So interesting when it comes to that. But, yeah, the Nova Mark II. Yeah, the Nova Mark II. They're retiring the original Novas, and now there's double tanks, and no, you can't upgrade. You're stuck with it. So yeah, and for those that aren't sure about the one on the bottom, there's it's basically what I think is the size 5 manned quad, which is this thing, right? Give me a second. I need to go find it. Next, there we go. That's where it is. Transition. There we go. And it's this bit. It's the one that's just up here, firing kind of down that way, underneath the underside. Yeah. Nope, didn't like that at all. But yeah, you get the point, right? So yeah, that one underneath. Little bit interesting. Yeah, not an ideal display from CIG of these ships. I mean, these things are being sold, right? They've got to be. It doesn't take much, and I think what this is smacking of, and this is going to surprise precisely no one, right, is the idea that everything about Invictus has felt rushed. The fact that the Idris Tor can't be found, or is struggling to be found, is rushed. The fact that the notice boards don't work, rush. The fact that the markers don't work, rushed. The fact that we had a week for the point patch to come in, rushed. It is, and this thing now being done for Drake Defense Con with incorrect information, blatantly by their own artwork, rushed. I'm going to need to step away a second, so I'm going to put you on a hold screen. I will be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere when we do. I'm going to show you what I ended up getting during our Invictus week. Stand by. I shall be back in just a moment. Okie dokie. Hope you can all hear me all right. I do apologise. I just had to step away very quickly. Solve a bit of an emergency, but we're all good. I've solved it. It's fine. So I guess then we will have a look at the few bits that I've picked up during Invictus, including what might surprise people a little. But there's a reason, and it's not what you think. Yeah. So, okay. So stepping away just for a moment from the window's open, and it's annoying because now it's gone dark. It's attracting every single bug that's out there. So if you see me frantically grasping at stuff, it's because it's too warm to have the windows closed, but it's too buggy to have them open. So I've got them zipping in and around because I've got all the lights on, causing lots of light and stuff, and it's just attracting everything. Because I live next to the woods, so there's no light to compete with. So yeah, okie dokie. So let's have a look at what is sat in my hangar. I've just had to sanitize it because I know what you lot are like. I don't need there to be anything in there that is on show that, yeah. Okay. Spoilers, I did not go Drake. Okay, so what I have done, you can't see it here, but it's kind of visible by the fact that I've picked up the paint, okay, is I've picked up the NASA, the medical Ursa, okay, and it's going to be called the Nursa, as in the nurse, the whole time, just because. So yes, I picked that up with the paint, and that's that. I've also picked up the Pulse with the Dominion paint, as an LTI token. So that's that, and that's that done. The bit that might surprise people, hold on to your hats, boys and girls, is this one. I know there's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to wait to see what the comments are in chat. Before, I've just seen Avi's comment. So before people lose their shit, okay, my Perseus is going to stay my Perseus. Okay, before we go down that road, my Perseus is going to stay my Perseus. Okay. Now the reason I didn't have an issue with picking this one up, you can show yourselves out as limited. Okay. Yeah. So before we go that far, here's what. Okay. Before people lose their shit. Perseus is staying the Perseus. This is incredible value. It's about $75, or whatever it was, $55. I can't remember now. But I got it for whatever it was, ridiculous cheap, right? In the event that I build something else up to that point, I doubt it. In which case, I'd be happy to get rid of it to other people. But at the moment, it's just what it is, right? I don't want to get rid of the Perseus. The Polaris for me has too high a crew requirement. But I was just sat on that, and I just think, you know, for the memes, I'll give it a go, and we'll see what people think. Sorry, I just had to deal with a bug. So yeah, we'll see what comes of it. But like I said, this is absolutely not an intent to actually turn this into the platform. I'm just not. You know, and I certainly can't apply it because the way my Perseus that was very kindly gifted to me by members of the community, would you believe, including Execute and Algrid over at the Info Runners, they built up a whole chain for me. The savings on that are ridiculous, and I would never be able to build a Perseus up at that level again. So that's not going to happen. Okay, but I just wanted it there, so if it's useful to other people in the near future, it can be. For me, it's not a bad purchase because both of those ships have yet to be released. The Polaris imminently, but we know that it was the last chance to pick up the Polaris at its current value, so that's going to jump in value. The Perseus then will also jump in value when it's released. So even though one jumps because they're both jumped, it's still going to be a saving. And if I get something to that level again, then I hope so. Once I'm taking my once I'm making my YouTube millions, I may well use it. It's clearly not going to happen, but I may well use it on another ship. My Perseus is staying my Perseus, and simply this, right? It's not a gameplay issue. It's because people got together and got me that ship as a thank you. I was going through a rough time at work. It was a pick me up. It was we know you love this ship. We know you've said you aren't going to buy it in game, so we wanted to get it for you as a show us friendship. That Perseus is staying. It's not going anywhere. I feel all choked up now. But yeah, it's my Perseus is that. So it's staying, and don't worry about it. But the saving was so good, I wanted to keep hold of it. There's another CCU Warbond that I was looking at, which was the Apollo up to the Caterpillar, because at the moment, as part of my chain, I need to go from the Medivac to the Gemini. And obviously at the moment we're waiting on the Medivac's release before I buy that CCU to see how much closer to the Gemini it gets me. Thanks Can for sticking with me and helping me out with this stuff. And that would be a bad buy from the Apollo up to the Caterpillar, even though it's Warbond, even though it saves me about $35. We don't know how much the Apollo Medivac is going to go up by, and it might actually make that a really bad CCU. So I'm not willing to put the money on it at the moment. So there's that. I have a Polaris CCU2, says socially. I need to decide if I want a Perseus, Odyssey, or Polaris. Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy, right? So yeah, we'll see. It's a personal thing. Like I said right at the beginning, it's always a personal thing when you buy ships. There are going to be some people who want a ship. Everyone's telling them it's not a great choice, and they're just going to be like, I get it. I just want it. I don't know why I want it, or I do know why I want it. I just want it, and I'm damned if anyone's going to tell me otherwise. And that is a perfectly reasonable reason to buy a ship. Stuck, get that they're not working on the Apollo, but when they do release it, it's going to go up in price. Yeah, so whatever it is at the moment, 275, 280, I can't quite remember the figure, right? It will go up in price to say 300, 310, right? If it depending on how much it goes up by, it might actually get me closer to the Caterpillar than the Warbond CCU. It might make that jump less. Do you see what I mean? So it's not that they're working on it now. That's why I'm just sat on it. But that's why I haven't bought that link between the Apollo and the Gemini. Because if I buy it now, I'm paying that distance. When the Medivac goes up by however much it does, I'm going to have to pay a much shorter distance. And this is part of the CCU game. If it's breaking your brain like it broke mine, some people get it, some people don't. If I'm talking about stuff you're not sure about, I honestly recommend get yourself over to the Info Runners YouTube channel, okay? Go speak to them. They've got people that will help you. They'll even do a Fix Your Fleet video that goes on YouTube. They'll talk about what you want to do, get you into ships. Those guys know what they're doing with CCUs. They'll even recommend potentially looking for old CCUs that you can't get anymore that may massively reduce the cost of big ships. Just as a quick question, sorry, Stack. Yeah, I get you. Sorry, mate. I didn't see Socialist questions. Completely get you 100%. That's my bad. I misread that. Hello to Alex. Hello to Shadyface. Good to see you. Alex says, you'll soon be able to touch the Polaris with my virtual fingers. With the Perseus, on the other hand, you'll have to stare at the JPEG an estimated year longer. This is true. This is very true. Stop trying to make me go to the Polaris, you monster. Yeah, no, it is. The good news is that a very brave individual has decided that she wants me as EXO on her Polaris. so I can break that without breaking my own. Not looking at you, Shadow Gal, honest. But yeah, so I'm going to get to be able to play with the Polaris without having to lose my beloved Perseus. That's, I guess, the other part that we can talk about in just a second is one of the changes that's coming up with the Polaris that they talked about, but we'll get to that in a second. Shady Phase, SC community, best community. I couldn't agree more. But yeah, so yes, first CIG, now you, week of betrayal. Limited, dude, you gotta let it go. I'm said I'm not going there. Kind of chill, dude. I mean, good lord. Yeah, Chidomo's been demoted already. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sorry about that, mate. Yeah, just, you know, the I've just got images now, Chidomo, of the two guys in spacesuits, one with a gun to the back of the other guy's heads. The always was meme. And I'm the guy with the gun to the back of my head. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. But yeah, Perseus, you can crew with way less people, 100%. Exactly that. Those guys that have done CCUs, what's the cheapest you've been able to get big ships for? Just to let those who maybe are not familiar with it, just to show the sort of savings that you can get. And I don't mean that the ridiculous ones, you know, the one of a kind got this, it's impossible to do, but yeah, have a look. Badgers Mark II. All right, Limited. Jesus, calm, man, calm. I get it. You feel betrayed, but Jesus, I said I'm not doing it. Chill. No, it's all good. So yeah, shaded the whole sea to the Ironclad assault. Holy moly, that's a change. Holy moly, that's a change. Yeah, Banu Merchantman for $315 says socially. $75 Perseus. Edison needs to take himself around back. Yeah, $250 Polaris. Tokens, referrals, yeah, all that stuff, because it's all possible AV for everyone to do. So those that don't know, there's a referral program. I'm sure most of you do by now. $300 for my Polaris, says Kedron. Yeah, some really nice. Fleet average is 60% off, says Can. So yes, CCUs, like, again, because I'm really not comfortable talking to people about their money on a kind of like this level. I don't do that stuff. I just signpost it for everyone else. So if you are interested in that, please go to the Info Runners, Google it, whatever or YouTube it, whatever you want to do. But it's well worth looking at. Some of these really big ships. So the idea of people saying, well, you've just said you wouldn't buy a Perseus, so why have you got a Perseus Polaris Warband Edition? Because it's entirely possible that I might not have to pay that much based on a lot of these CCUs. Okay. So yeah, so that's what my fleet looks like at the minute. I'm really glad the nurse is in there. Someone said for a second, going further up, that they've got those vehicles until they are released in game. That was you, Socially. I've got those two vehicles until they're released in game. Yeah, 100%. The Nursa is currently an LTI token that went from... Christ, I can't remember now. I can't remember what it was. Standalone ships. I can't quite remember. Oh, so yes, it was the Steve, the Foundation Festival Steve, that then went to an X1 Velocity and is now an Ursa Medivac. So I can't quite remember what that package is, but because it's a referral, I can't melt it. But it's just gonna go up through the chain. It's gonna end up as being a ship. That may well be the chain that ends up being something along the lines of a Perseus. So yeah, I mean, it's not massive savings. I'm never going to get those massive savings, but that's it, right? And yeah, and then maybe I'll put it in the Fix My Fleet, because I don't want to go through it now because it takes a lot of mucking around with. But my fleet's looking quite healthy at the minute. I've got a Retaliator base. I've got a Sulen. I've got the Ursa Medivac. I've got the Pulse. I've got a C1 Spirit, and that's on its way to becoming a Reclaimer. I've got a C8R Pisces. Thanks, Can. Thank you, Edison, for the Retaliator base. I've got a Connie Taurus, which I think is going to be my daily driver for cargo, and I have a Perseus. So there's some really, really tasty kind of ships in there. I also have the Referral Gladius, by mistake ended up being the Vulture. So that's good fun as well. And from the Vulture, it'll probably end up being, I don't know, possibly the Expanse if it works that way. And then I can bring you guys content once they've sorted out salvage. I can look at doing a salvage guide, and then when they brought this Expanse out, I can do the Expanse. Got the Retaliator base for when they bring modularity in. So there's loads of reasons to stick around. Loads of videos that are going to come with that. So yeah. Some really nice ways of being able to save yourself some money and build a fleet. So yeah, I'll put that into the post my fleet in our Discord, and we'll have a chat in there about that sort of stuff. And yeah, if you guys are looking at or want tips on your fleet, you want to see what other people are doing, you want like an idea, then please link to the Discord down below. Once I've seen you in there, I'll add your role. Come say hi in the welcome channel. I'll know to add a role for you, and we'll go from there. So yeah, that's all good. But yeah, hopefully that's of use to people. The last change that I want to talk about from Invictus is they mentioned that they are going to up-gun the turrets on the Polaris to quote-unquote hold its own with other capital ships. This has caused a bit of a stir because I don't know if you're aware or not, but to really worry capital ships, you need to be talking size 7 weaponry and above, okay, or some other sort of weaponry to really have that punch to get through capital armor in terms of capital combat armor. That's an interesting statement to make, because hold its own, we don't actually know if that means it's getting size 7 weaponry or whether it's just more marketing fluff and that actually they're going to upgrade like the size 3s to size 4s or size 5s. So yeah, it does seem a little bit silly on the Polaris, because the whole point of the Polaris are those really big torpedoes. That's why it can fire a huge salvo. It dives in, just like a spear. It plunges in, it fires its payload, and it gets out, and then it comes back in again. And the other turrets make sense. It's there to, the size 5 turret is there to, deter other medium and large ships. The size 3s are there as anti-fighter defense. And then it's got the missile turret to kind of supplement that in whatever way it sees fit. And that makes sense. To make it a brawler with large torpedoes as well, doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. It kind of blurs the lines as to what the Polaris is doing precisely. So yeah, I'm not kind of keen on if it's size 7s. However, they haven't said that. They said hold their own, which, as we know, could mean pretty much anything. So it could be the size 3s going to size 4s or size 5s. We don't know. It could be that another turret's getting up. It might be that it gets one size 7 turret. We just don't know. So we'll find out. But yeah, sounds fair and balanced. Overkill is underrated. Sounds socially confused. I need that on my tombstone, dude. Overkill is underrated. But yeah, it's interesting. Shadow Girl says Ironclad is 1/4 of the cargo of the whole sea, and then we get but better to get the cargo, says Ape in Space, to its destination than lose it to pirates. Ironclad will have a better delivery rate. Yeah, very possibly. It's very interesting in terms of I think, like anything, very much like Eve, there are going to be areas of the game where deliveries are safer. You won't necessarily need an escort because you can count on security services close to you. And actually, I think a lot of it, people underestimate how big the game is, because at the moment we just jump from planet to planet, and the bit in the middle might as well be a loading screen. When it comes to people interdicting and pirating stuff, the route between two planets, the direct route, the straight line, is going to be the most obvious place to interdict, because it's going to be the most cargo, right? If I say that I'm going to come at that planet not directly from another planet, good luck picking which direction that is if you're trying to interdict me. So, route selection is going to become so much more important with cargo. So it might not be that you necessarily need escorts and whatever else, because by the time people realize where you are, you're at a station. That station is now able to protect you with its own guns, with its own security services, and so on and so forth. In higher threat areas, absolutely, you're going to want escorts. You're going to want that protection. Also, if you're trading in and around the terror system, it's fine, right? Because there's going to be so much security services that the game, just from a gameplay point of view, needs areas where you're not constantly under threat. You need, even in games like DayZ with safe zones and stuff, any game like that, you need an area where you're not constantly under threat, where you can walk away from the computer, go to the loo without fear of dying, right? So all of these things, they're required in a game, I would argue. So I have 100% confidence they're going to be in Star Citizen as well. So yeah, it's going to be not just different hulls for different purposes, it's going to be different hulls for different areas. And that's just exciting, because now you're giving us more reasons to use ships, and CIG will find it easier to deliver on. There's going to be a reason to take every ship. Which is really exciting from a gameplay perspective. So yeah. AV says, would be interesting if one of the Polaris guns did become size 6. It would be the first ship to use them, as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Unfortunately, I don't think we got any more information. I was intending to watch the Q&A that they've just done. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to do that. I was going to do that today, but got caught up making this video for you guys instead. So that will be out fairly shortly, I'm hoping. I'm going to finish this again. I'll hang around in Discord talking to people for a while, but I'm going to be working on that video at the same time, and then as soon as I can, I will post it. So if you're around for a little while, just keep your eyes open. I'll post it in the Discord, and obviously it will go up, so make sure you're subscribed. You've got the bell thingy doing its thing if you want to see information on the Ironclad versus the Liberator. I think that's going to be well worth looking at. So yeah. And I think that's kind of the takeaway from Invictus is that the ship sales and stuff, great if you wanted them, and meh if you didn't. The in-game event has been underwhelming. Sorry, not overwhelming, underwhelming. And I'm really hoping now that this is the last year that we start saying that. Now that they're bringing people over from Squadron into Star Citizen, I'm hoping that not just progress, but we're actually seeing these things do their own, start to take on a life of their own. Because at the moment, so many of the events are just marketing events, and even like the rent-a-ship stuff, as far as I'm concerned, that is still just a means of selling ships, right? It'll be nice to see now stuff more like the Overdrive, and we can only wait for Xenothreat to come in as well. Xenothreat's going to look very, very different. There's going to be an Idris there that we get to fight. They've just got a lot of work to do on the combat, and I think they realise that. During the free fly, I know there was a problem with the Prospectors, where the Prospectors were basically invulnerable. That is confirmed to still be happening. During the free fly, I took out the Sabre Firebird to have some fun and make a video for you guys, and part of what I wanted to get was combat footage. What I ended up getting was a little bit of combat footage, and then footage of a Prospector taking it like a champ. Over 800 rounds in each of my ballistic Gatlings, and then all 12 size 3 missiles, along with an advocacy Mantis that was also smashing this single Prospector, and it had a red section on its hull and just ignored it. Before that, I'd quite happily killed. I'd exploded a Mustang Delta, and I'd soft death an Aurora LN, or the other way around, and I'd killed 3 of the monitors that they used. It was the monitor mission. I'd killed 3 of those with everything, with the first 1,200 rounds, and then not so much. As for the combat, I know that I said when I first looked at master modes that I was going to hold off on the combat. I'm still holding off just because of the issues that we're having at the moment with all this sort of combat stuff. But what I will say round about now is that I was hoping that at the very least master modes would stop the kamikaze NPCs. That has not happened. I've still been killed 3 times by NPCs just deciding to fly into me. Which, if you're reducing the speed, you're increasing the computer bit or the servers being able to react. They shouldn't be flying into me at all. They should be avoiding me like the plague. And it's just pants. It doesn't jive with Death of a Spaceman or anything. I've just spilt cider on myself. Well done, me. Oops. But yeah, so there's that, right? That's soggy. God damn it. Oh well, never mind. I'll manage. I've only got to deal with another 30 minutes and then a bit being soggy on my leg. Oh well. The good news is I've still got cider, so it's all right. But yeah, so cider flavored chief, yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's an interesting change. Now there is another change that I'm not going to talk about because I'm going to cover it extensively in an upcoming video. But that's the medical changes that they've made, and they covered that too. But I'm going to look at medical, look at the Nursa in more detail and the use case that I think that exists for it at the moment. And I want to talk about the changes that I think need to come, because you guys voted for it way back when, and then we just got overtaken by kind of life events. So medical video will be coming in the short time as well. So the videos you've got to look forward to, the vehicles that have been released. I want to, this Ironclad one that's just about around the corner. I want to do the medical one, and then we're going to be looking forward to what's coming next, to the fact that 4.0 is the next patch coming, and that's really quite exciting. That's been confirmed through the roadmap progress tracker, through the release view. They have quite a bit committed, and I guess I'm hoping that what the little that's on the keyboard is not enough to start mucking things up. But if it does, I might have to end this early. But it's an old style keyboard, so it's fine. But having a look forward at 4.0, let's have a very quick look. So stacks of stuff coming here. We've got the characters with additional player customization, and then the locations. We've got all of Pyro being put in by the looks of things. We've got moons, we've got jump points, we've got colonialist outposts, Pyro space stations, Ver, Fugo, Pharaoh, Adir, Vatra, etc. I'm assuming that those space stations also mean Ruin, given the fact that it's using a photo of Ruin station. But yeah. AI-wise, we've got the Space Cow. Happy days, that'll be in as well. And fire, and engineering, and life support, and the solar burst, which is the bit that disables vehicles. So huge updates to the game, meaningful updates to the game. Okay, fire's not added to everything. It's going to be added to a select few vehicles. I'm guessing the Reclaimer will be one of them. We've got the Zeus ES, and then new displays and MFDs depending on manufacturers. Sorry, click to that one. We have multi-tool updates, including cutting, which I'm pretty sure in one of the distribution centers there's a locked red hatch that has 2 grey at the bottom sections on it that look prime candidates to be cut. So it looks like that might be the case. Okay. So the multi-tool will be allowed to add power and take power away from components, and the fire extinguisher will also be added, which, you know, kind of makes sense given the fact they're adding fire. Some way to extinguish it would be great. Okay. And then transit system. Okay, so hopefully that'll become more stable, ready for server meshing. The mission system refactor. Okay, and this is not so much that stuff that we're going to see this is not improving it for us. There may be improvements that we see as a result of it in exactly the same way as there may be degradation that we see as a result of it. This is primarily getting it to work with server meshing. And server meshing version 1, something that I think, frankly, has the potential to completely change the face of gaming. And I stand by that. The technology has far-reaching implications, and whilst at the moment they are very much talking about not selling Star Engine, that doesn't mean that the tech itself can't be sold. Parts of it, and potentially limitless possibilities for it. If you extrapolate server meshing out, very likely, in maybe not right now because of bandwidth problems, because of technical limitations, but in the near future, within the next 10 years or so, potentially MMOs will have a single shard per region, because it's incredibly potent tech. Answer the call, hold the line. What's next? Redial for Pyro. Potentially, yeah, 100%. Engineering, if it stays in the current state, that will be the death of any ship which has it. Yeah, I think until they see armor, that's that. The call's coming from inside the house. Did this just turn into a horror, like midstream? Is that where we've gone with this? Because that certainly seems to be it, right? But yes. So yeah, incredible stuff coming. We're going to have a look at all that. And I think once that stuff's in, we're going to see more progress on things that have previously gone silent, right? Like Quanta, because it's pointless working on Quanta until you understand how server meshing is working. Because if you don't understand precisely how it's going to work, you can't develop the systems that are going to need to pull all the data and update all the servers. Yeah, it's going to be. Hopefully, we'll get more information on that, because, as I've said multiple times before, sitting in the Quanta presentation when they first unveiled it was a really big epiphany moment of, wow, this is how this game is going to be different. This is how this game is going to work really, really well. Yeah, very, very cool development. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. There's not really much else that I've kind of I wanted to cover this time round. There's lots of flashing because I'm killing stuff off the screen in front of me. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. It's been an interesting Invictus. It's not necessarily been, I think, the best Invictus all round, but we've had good progress on server stability outside of that area. But yeah, we held the line, but the line went dead. We need hangars so we can spend time in the ship learning. Learning under battle conditions are not great. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can just kind of go and land anywhere, but this is the point of hangars. This is what the hangars are supposed to do, and you're entirely correct. There's all the other stuff that goes with that as well. The cargo gameplay is going to be really useful. The getting subscriber items back is going to be really useful. Just having that space that you can call your own, even though it's not your hab, is going to add a different dimension, I think, to us being able to call an area our own. Yeah, Retaliator rework, just very quickly, the modules that they added didn't blow me away. They were all expected. They don't seem to be particularly innovative or anything in there that was really kind of exciting. But then again, why would it be? It doesn't necessarily need to be, oh my god, this is amazing. Not in the first instance, at least. I'm really hoping where modularity will kind of kick in and be amazing is, you look at things like if the Caterpillar keeps its modularity, then you could do so much fun with that. You could have Drubs Labs, Trop Shops, you could have all sorts of stuff in the Caterpillar's hold, you know, that'll be really, really fun to turn them into, you know, because we all know Drake's bad guys, right? In hangars, we could run drills. Yeah, 100%. You know, and once the hangars are out, we'll be looking at them in much more detail in a video. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think, to be honest, you know, ISC now is over until almost the end of June, so we've got a month hiatus around ISC. So I will do my best in the interim to keep you guys topped up with weekly content as much as I can. If I can get that video out this week, that'll be 2 videos this week. I'll still be wanting to get another one out as well next week. So you'll have as many videos as I can throw at you, because it's time for me to really commit to what I'm doing and get you guys better content. I'm hoping as well within the next month or 2 to have much better internet connection by a new provider to stop all the crap happening, which means I'll be able to upload to multiple locations. So I'm hoping to move this across to Twitch as well. So yeah, too many breaks, does Dodomo. I agree 100%, mate. They are making in excess of 4 million. I think it might even be 5 million now from their subscribers, and they said in the past that the money made from subscribers was going to go towards keeping us up to date. The whole point about videos is that you can make them in advance and post them even when you're not there. And I know this is a little bit funny coming from me because there's gaps in when I post, but then again, I'm not being paid $5 million a year to do that. If you paid me $5 million a year to make videos, you would have a video every week without fail. Full stop, the end. And I feel like CIG kind of missed that a little bit, right? So yeah, not ideal. But yeah, far too many breaks, Jodomo. I agree with you, buddy. It's exactly what it is. So yeah, that's the plan. Coming up for the next couple of months, I plan to do that. So I'm going to ask, just in case he's in chat, because he pops up and asks me all the time. I will, in the next couple of weeks, be adding Patreon. I'm going to be very clear about what it does and what it doesn't do. I'm not going to be pushing it any more than this. But a couple people now have asked me, so I want that option for them if they want to do that. Of course, I don't expect anything. Of course, you know, it's no obligation. It's more than enough to be here and spend time with you guys. So please, please, please don't feel the need. Basically, where that money's going to go to is a new streaming PC. We already have some money to go down that road, so that the fund is starting to build. And then hopefully I'll be able to stream more gameplay. However, having said that, we've been able to stream some gameplay under the new patch, and hopefully that will get better. I won't try under the free fly because but hopefully between a new internet connection, everything else that they've improved, and that sort of stuff. No, it's not Shadow Girl. My OF is basically going to be based around you pay me money to keep my clothes on. That's how that works. So yeah. So yeah, that's how that works. Yeah. So yeah, if I get 5 million income per year, then yes, you will get a video every week, and not before. Yeah, no, that's it. So yeah, we'll see. All I've got to say now is I want to kind of theory craft a little bit, or not theory craft. I want to hopium. Let's huff the hopium together. I'm going to watch concurrent viewers drop off like mad saying this. But I'm going to huff the hopium here and say that the more I think about it, the more that I think that we are going to get, or we are likely to get, a Squadron 42 information at CitizenCon. Hopefully up to and including a release date. The reasons I've stated before, they're talking about signed memorabilia or autographed memorabilia. Now, if you've been to a CitizenCon, you know that you can get stuff signed at the end anyway. You queue up, you get to meet with people. All of them, they all sit down at a desk. It doesn't cost you anything. You get 30 seconds to talk to them. They sign your program or whatever, and then you move on to the next person. My program is 100% signed up. Signed from 2019 when I last went to CitizenCon. So I don't think it's that, because why would you give people something signed that everyone can get signed anyway? That doesn't make sense. The gala talks about extra special guests. Who are they? And my thought is that it may well be that they've got a couple of cast members from Squadron 42 to do a panel at CitizenCon, potentially, and that they may be there at the gala. You know, if anyone knows how to wrangle this sort of stuff, it would be someone who's got a history in making films, like Chris Roberts. So yeah, I get it. Like I'm fully prepared to be said. No, it wasn't that. I get it, 100%. But I'm really hoping, you know, that's what it's going to be. Ape, good to see you, buddy. All the best. Take care of yourself, and yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you in the next stream, mate. So yeah, if Luke, if Luke shows up, I'll be jelly. Mark Hamill is in Europe at the time. It's obviously got Henry Cavill. There's Gary Oldman. There's Mark Strong, Gillian Anderson, Rona Mitra, Liam Cunningham, Andy Serkis. If Andy Serkis, I'm gonna blow a gasket. So yeah, absolutely, it's a huff, but yeah, it is. It is 100% hopium, right? But it's hopium that is only there because of stuff they've said. I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't that. I kind of looked at it and went, yeah, all right, okay. And then thought about it a bit. So yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting from that gala to see what goes on. But we've had people from the studio in Montreal. Yeah, they've been across to the last CitizenCon, so do they count as extra special guests? Probably not. They're just staff, right? We've had Chris Roberts at every CitizenCon. So extra special guest? No, he runs the thing. It's not a guest. That's part of the company, so that's not guests. So who are the guests if it's not that? Yeah, we'll see. I want you to be right. Yeah, absolutely that. CRG or CRG's worst enemy. Yeah, 100%. That and Salty Mike. No, I'm kidding. Mike, I'm sorry. Don't send your trolls. But yeah, that's it, right? So I don't know. I'm really not. I'm hopeful, but I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong. Put it that way. You know, okay, fine. But I'm going to pin my colours to the mast on this one. I've decided to go for it. So why not? Okay. UK of Games. Hello, bud. Hi, Badger. I'm super disappointed with this patch. They've ruined the game for me. Are we talking master modes there, buddy, or something else? I take it you're talking master modes, because that seems to be the biggest change, right? But yeah, that's not a bad thing to talk about for the last kind of 10 minutes. What have people's experience been of master modes? What are people finding? What's their main problem? There's a bit of a pause because I forgot to put it on the low latency. So I think you're about 12 seconds behind me. So I asked the question and then it's like, while that's going on. But hopefully, what are people finding being their major issue with master modes and whatnot? Asking for a friend. Right now it's just kind of mess, says AV. I'm enjoying master modes, but I don't do combat, so socially confused. Yeah, I get that. I think that's common. I'm getting back into the combat because I want to learn it alongside master modes. So that's not the end of the world. Shifting gears. Good evening, bud. Master modes is meh for me too. Turrets still suck. Large ships still feel too weak, and fighters feel even more tanky. I'm having some teething issues with it, says Notorious, but that's just because it's new. I'm not a PvP hotshot, so some of its subtleties are lost on me. Stakora God, I've got no real issues with master modes, but I'm not a combat pilot. Getting better with it still feels a bit arcadey, says Chidomo. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So you guys will know that I haven't flown combat for a little while. What I did find was, well, I say we didn't fly combat. We flew a bunch of combat for kind of overdrive and stuff, and we got people through. So we ended up doing like the overdrive incursions like 15 odd times or whatever. But it doesn't feel like it's a solution, is what I'll say. I won't go as far as saying I think it's ruined things, but it certainly doesn't. So here's the problem, right? I'm not decrying Star Citizen having changed stuff. It's long overdue that they've changed stuff. The problem is they've changed a whole bunch of things at the same time. So AI combat behaviors from the AI. AI is now far more tanky. There are higher time to kill. They've changed master modes. There's the replication layer, which means that servers might not be behaving quite as we expect, right? The data rate might not be. So there's low FPS. I think that's fairly evident, right? The problem with it is so much has changed in such a short space of time that for me personally, it's impossible to figure out precisely what the problems were. There is very clearly an issue with speed when it comes to SCM flight, right, versus nav mode. Excuse me. Cool. That came out of nowhere. But there very clearly is an issue with that, right? That's not looking that good. But you know, are we dying with it because are we dying a lot because the NPCs are better? Are we dying a lot because the server's not registering it? Are we dying a lot because it's master modes and master modes is crap? Are we dying a lot because it's master modes and we are struggling to understand it and to learn the new system because we're too busy flying like the old one? There's a lot that goes into all of that. Detection ranges, weapon range changes, all that sort of stuff. All of a sudden, I'm not able to engage outside of 500 meters on my Sabre, which is really weird. Or the Sabre Firebird. So, yeah, that's very, very strange. It's kind of janky extra steps just to travel now. Doesn't seem to have any flow to it. Still trying to get used to it, I guess, the shifting gears. Yeah, there certainly is that. I mean, I feel like I've gotten used to it pretty quickly. I wouldn't say it feels overly good, but then again, I wouldn't say it feels awful either. I think the one of the issues that I do have with it is that it instantly goes nav mode instantly charges your quantum and instantly puts you on the quantum screen, which brings the quantum UI up, which I'm not overly fond of. But like I said, there's so many changes that happen very, very quickly. UK games. I mean, I've got to say that like I like the new UI. I'm a fan of the new UI. The star map stuff I'm getting to grips with. It's just such an improvement over the other one. But then again, that's such a low bar. But yeah, so I get that. Anubite says SCM is too slow. You're unable to dodge bullets. Yeah, so 100%. The SCM flight is too slow. 100%. I don't disagree with that at all. Flying in concentric circles in combat now, says Mr. E. They've made the game harder by making us less effective, and this is the problem, right? Is going back to what I was saying earlier, Mr. E. Is that it's hard to figure out why that is. They've made stuff more tanky, and they've changed everything. They've changed weapons, and they've changed flight, and they've changed DPS, and they've changed hull point values, and they're adding shields, and they're doing all this at once. They've changed everything, so it's almost impossible to pinpoint things down to one cause, which doesn't help their testing. So yes, I'm all for changing things, and I'm all for things being more, I guess, what's the phrase I'm looking for? For there being a better rate of change, but you've got to do it in such a way that if something isn't right, you can identify what it is and rectify it. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like they've done that. They've just thrown everything in. They had something to prove with this patch. Separation of the replication layer, master modes, time to kill, weapon, DPS, UI. and everything else that went with it. And it's like, okay, what bit's the problem? And yeah, so I get it. This patch is tough. It is tough. You're entirely right, UK. It is tough. Mr. E, I feel like I've just been dumb. Is your name Mr. E, or is it Mystery? Because if it's the last one, I feel dumb because I've been calling you Mr. E the whole time. Is it Mystery? I feel like I've just been stupid. Sorry, my bad. I just didn't get that at all. I can't internet. I don't like how my Origin helmets don't have a crosshair now. Yeah, that was always coming. It's your fault for wearing Origin. Jidomo thinks the ship balances out and the flight model and atmosphere is not there. So the atmospheric flight model stuff needs to come in as well, and that's something else that, control surfaces, stall speeds, all that sort of stuff, having the relevant height for it, thruster burnout can't come soon enough, all that sort of stuff. Star map is a big step forward, 100%. The star map is just a net win for me, and I can't say otherwise. First time since playing Star Citizen, I don't understand the direction. Yeah, 100% UK. I'm not necessarily saying that the changes are bad. I'm saying that the changes are unfinished. It's not communicated it well, and it makes it impossible for us to feed back. And when you are just sick of it, to go from I'm actually pretty good at this to I don't even understand why things are happening now. Like, the only sort of feedback that people can give about that is this is shit. I can't be more constructive because you haven't created a system where I can tell you even what I think is going on. You just heaped all these changes on, and it's. And I think that's my kind of takeaway from 323, is that rapid change is good as long as what is changing, you're changing one thing. Change a load of things once, let that change sell and then for that patch, and then do it again, and then do it again. Don't do it all at once. It's like ships just completely changed. I mean, time to kill always had to go up to allow things like multi-crew gameplay to work. The idea of identifying a problem with engineering, getting the right stuff, going there, fixing it in a meaningful time frame to change the outcome from your ship. Time to kill was always going to go up, but did it have to go up for the fighters? I don't understand. So yeah, I completely get your frustration. It's entirely justified. All I would say is what I've always said about when feeding it back to CIG. Don't use the phrase "this is shit" because it doesn't help anything. Notwithstanding what I've just said, that's what you say, right? I don't understand what the direction is. I don't understand, because you've changed so many things at once. I can't tell if this is separation of the replication layer, whether this is time to kill, master modes, whether this is weapon changes, whether this is kind of whatever it is, right? The armor changes that they've made between Maelstrom, don't know. That's the way I would phrase it, because that's a reasonable thing. The problem is there are so many people who have for everything have just gone, it's shit. It's become very easy for CIG to just go, do you know what? Unless you give me a better answer than that, I'm just going to have to relegate you to the complaining pile. So yeah, I think that's very, very likely, right? That we need to give them better feedback. So yeah, that's all I'd say. Not that it's our problem, but if we want to help fix it. So yeah, and anybody? No, we've struggled finding the fleet as well. It's an issue, I think, at the moment. So yeah, unfortunately that. I see the fireworks sometimes. Says anybody? Yeah, I saw them once as well, and then flew around trying to find them, couldn't find them. Marketing could be to blame, so limited. Yeah, possibly. So yeah. So yeah, there's that. I think that's kind of all we've got time for this evening. But yeah, like I said, if you want to come into the Discord, I'll be in the Discord for a little while I'm working on a video. So, you know, by all means, jump in, use the link in Discord. Let me know in the welcome channel. I'll give you the role so you can actually get into the bar, which is the chat room that we've got, and you can come in and talk to us. But yeah, hopefully, it's been informative. There's been a lot to talk about Invictus, especially seeing as I wasn't feeling particularly well on the last one, let's say. Yeah, it was not great. So I didn't stream last week, which is a bit of a shame. But that's just kind of where we are. Okay. But yeah, you've been watching Jinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. See you soon.